Welcome back, NFL fans. You're locked in for another trip through gridiron history, one forgotten classic at a time. Today, the time machine is dropping us off at Tampa Stadium, October 17th, 1976. The two expansion teams of that season, the Seattle Seahawks and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, were both 0-5. The Vegas line was even, it was 75 degrees, and there were 43,812 in attendance. Although it was only the 6th week of a 14-week season, both teams were pretty much eliminated from postseason contention. Not mathematically, but really, who do they think they were fooling? This was the first meeting of the two clubs, both searching for the first victory in their teams' histories. Since then, both teams have gone on to win at least one Super Bowl, but at the time, it may have seemed as if neither would ever win anything. But on this particular day, something had to give. Jack Patera led the Seahawks. The 43-year-old was in his first season leading a team, after 13 years as a defensive line coach, with the Los Angeles Rams, the New York Giants, and the Minnesota Vikings. Although he had yet to gain a single win, he would eventually pilot the team to a winning record in just their third season of existence. The Bucs were led by John McKay, who had spent the previous 17 seasons as the head coach at USC. Although the Bucs famously wouldn't earn a win until nearly the end of the second season, McKay did enough to get them to the NFC Championship in just their fourth. Jim Zorn was Seattle's quarterback. The rookie signal caller had completed 82 of 173 passes for 1,025 yards, 5 scores, and 8 picks, for a 56.6 passer rating. Zorn was opposed by 10-year veteran Steve Spurrier, who had spent the prior 9 seasons as the backup with the San Francisco 49ers. He did manage a 13-12-1 record as a starter, with a 61.2 passer rating, a 52.5% completion rate, and 33 touchdowns to go with 48 interceptions. Seattle's Steve Largent was the only player in the game for either team who would one day go on to join the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Anyone expected, for in the Bucs' first regular season game, Dave Revis was lost for the year. Young proved he could handle the rigors of pass blocking, a skill not required of him at the University of Colorado, and his run-blocking talent meshed well with tackles Mike Current, Charles Little, and Steve Wilson, guards Howard Fest and Tom Allwood, and center Dan Reisig. The unit had a good blend of youthful intensity and veteran savvy. Add a developing Glenn Robinson, a healthy Leroy Seldman, and unit play will also develop. A good example was the Bucs secondary, the only defensive unit that stayed fairly constant all year. Number 33, Mark Cotney. Number 27, Ricky Davis. Number 25, Curtis Jordan. Number 40, Mike Washington. Ken Stone, number 28, and a quick forcing sweep stifler, Danny Reese, number 46, showed the benefit of playing together. Getting to know each other quite well, the Buccaneers secondary ranked 7th in the conference in pass defense in their first season as a unit. With Reese showing the way, the Buck defense occasionally made it safer to be on the field than on the sideline. NFL expansion created 2 new teams in '76, and their eventual meeting took on great significance for both. Finally, a chance for Seattle to hang an opponent out to dry, and even more important, an opportunity for John McKay's Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Jack Patera's Seattle Seahawks to gauge their progress in a head-to-head matchup. Through Throughout the first half, Jim Zorn filled the Florida sunshine with footballs as Seattle moved effortlessly goalward. Then from the 15, the Seahawks registered the game's first six-pointer on a storybook pass to Sam McCullum. Seattle's flawless execution left the Buccaneers somewhat flustered, and a concerned Tampa Bay sideline sensed momentum slipping away early as the Seahawks went straight for the jugular. But the penalty flag that eclipsed Steve Largent's pass route proved to be a harbinger of misfortune. Largent's apparent score could have KO'd the Bucs, but the powers that be rendered their verdict. The infraction cost Seattle a touchdown, while subsequent events stirred partisan Buccaneer fans to a fever pitch. The anti-Seahawks sentiment inspired Tampa Bay's defense as Seattle was held to just 41 yards total offense in the second half. The city of Tampa rallied in support of its team's dramatic reversal. Seattle's offense had been stymied, but on this day, a new group of heroes would emerge. In many of Seattle's games, the defense had done little more than surrender points as fast as the offense scored them. But with the championship of Expansion 76 hanging in the balance, Seattle's defensive unit put together a memorable game-winning effort. Seattle's defense pulled in the slack as Steve Spurrier's Buccaneer attack could not locate even the smallest hole in the dike. Ed Bradley ranged the entire span of the field, meting out stiff sentences wherever he turned up. The secondary planted its 1976 receiver crop, while old pro Mike Curtis made the game's two key plays. Seattle allowed only one touchdown and led by 3 points, as the intense heat began to take its toll on both clubs. With time on the wane, Tampa Bay needed a last-second field goal to send the game into overtime. But Mike Curtis decided he'd had enough. Though you may not see it from this angle, Curtis got a hand on the field goal try. The ball flooded harmlessly toward the uprights and came to rest well short of its mark, as the Seahawks won their first regular season NFL contest. Indeed, a moment to remember for a young head coach and his fledgling football team. In years to come, this organization will produce winning efforts on a much more regular basis. But no Seattle Seahawk fan ever will forget the first one. A groundbreaking of sorts on which future winning seasons will be built. Final score: Seattle 13, Tampa Bay 10.
Tampa Bay took a 3-0 first quarter lead on a 38-yard field goal by Dave Green. Seahawks punter Rick Engels then took off on a punt attempt from their own 46, gaining 13 yards on a 4-and-4, then getting an additional 5 yards on an inadvertent face mask. Zorn then threw 30 yards to Largent to get deep into the red zone. Then Sam McCullum caught a 15-yard touchdown pass from Zorn to put Seattle up 7-3. After a blocked field goal courtesy of Lyle Blackwood, Zorn engineered a 72-yard drive with 3 passes to McCullum totaling 42 yards, a 16-yard run by Sherman Smith, and a 19-yard pass to Ron Howard. The drive stalled, and Seattle had to settle for a 25-yard field goal by John Leipold. Later in the second, Blackwood gained 16 yards on a punt return all the way down to the Bucs 30, followed by a second Leipold field goal, this one from 39 yards. Midway through the third quarter, Spurrier flipped the ball to halfback Lewis Carter, who bounced off the offensive line, quickly looked to his right and flipped a pass to Morris Owens for Tampa Bay's only touchdown of the day, and only the second touchdown in offensive history. In fact, Seattle only gained a total of 41 yards through the entire second half. With 42 seconds remaining, Green was in a position to tie the game for Tampa Bay with a 35-yard field goal. Seattle's Mike Curtis blocked it, cementing the Seahawks' first win. He later explained, quote, "I didn't want any overtime. It's too hot out there," unquote. Now, the two teams combined for 35 penalties in the game, including 20 by the Bucs. Zorn finished 11 for 27 for 167 yards, 1 score, and 1 pick for a 58.7 rating. Sherman Smith led the rushing attack for Seattle with 45 yards gained down 10 carries, while McCollum caught 5 balls for 64 yards to lead the receivers. In defeat, Spurrier completed 18 of 30 for 170 yards and a 75.7 rating. Morris Owens caught 5 balls for 24 yards, while Lewis Carter led the rush with 66 yards on 15 carries. Carter also caught 3 balls for 28. The Seahawks finished their inaugural season at 2-12, which would only be considered a success when measured against the Buccaneers' perfectly imperfect 0-14 record. Now, if you made it this far, consider subscribing. Until next time, keep the laces out and keep the history alive. I'll see you on the next kickoff. Bye.